Hello, it's Len. Welcome back to the channel, Straight Talk from the Homeland. It's about 40 degrees out here, so I'll try and keep this short. But I've had a number of people ask me what's going on with this Armenia Azerbaijan thing, what I call a clown show. So I'll try and be as brief as possible in what is quite a complex subject. Uh, First of all, what was signed is no peace deal. It's a framework, and even with formal agreements, we know that Azerbaijan never complies with anything, not the 1994 ceasefire nor the 2020 so-called statement. So these people who are crowing about a new deal that brings peace to the Caucasus and one that sidelines Iran and Russia are completely naive into thinking that Iran would accept being cut off. And for that matter, this is a vital trade route for India as well. I don't care how the government packages this to have a US company control a strip of land uh, in southern Armenia is a breach of sovereignty if customs and all the other controls that are necessary in a sovereign country are not there. But we've heard the Azerbaijanis saying they're not going to accept any control by Armenia. Uh, and I'm guessing that's even if an American is standing there. So, because they want to use the corridor for military and other purposes, they certainly don't want to be surveilled. And speaking of being surveilled, you have to ask yourself the question: why would the Americans want to be involved in uh, this adventure here in the Caucasus? They don't have any boots on the ground here. Russia does in Gumri, and Russia occupies part of Georgia. It's right next to the Iranian border. So, what does America want? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? I don't think it's anything to do with the cringe show where the two leaders sat there and gave Trump's ego a little massage, telling him that he should get the Nobel Peace Prize, which is highly unlikely given what Trump is doing in Gaza, and even worse, where I see that they talking about a takeover of Gaza, completely illegal and no respect for human rights or an indigenous people's right to self-determination or anything like that. So you think Trump's going to get a peace prize? Probably not. But that's, I think, the unlikely explanation for why the US is involved. The real explanation is about power projection. It's always about power. It's not about looking after Armenia. And heaven forbid Trump's Christian base would believe that he was looking after Christian Armenia. No, no, no. If that was the case, then America would have intervened to save the Christian indigenous people of Artsakh, formerly known as Nagorno Karabakh. Uh, they would have insisted that the Christian prisoners of war would be released, which was also not mentioned. Uh, or for that matter, that the Azerbaijani soldiers occupying 250 kilometers of Armenia today must leave Christian lands, or that they must stop destroying Christian churches and things. No, if that was the case, Trump would have taken action a long time ago. So I don't think Trump cares one iota about Christians uh, or this land. No, I think that the action taken was simply to put American, you can read Israeli, Mossad agents on the border with Iran. And as Iran has said many times, they're not going to accept any change to the border, and they're certainly not going to accept any American, NATO, or Mossad influence in the area, nor is Russia. And China's got a stake in this. Not only their trade routes are at peril, but also don't forget that the Chinese have a Turkic population in the western part. Of course, Turkey will love to have this grand Turkic migration and strengthening of their pan-Turan dream, which would effectively destabilize the Russian Federation, um, and possibly China. So, Russia made a huge mistake in 2020 when it allowed Azerbaijan, even supported Azerbaijan, by turning off the Armenian air defenses and things like that. Uh, and then in 2023, just stood by while the Azeris did the ethnic cleansing of Artsakh. And Iran also made a huge mistake, allowing the peaceful indigenous people of Artsakh to be ethnically cleansed in favor of Mossad agents in Jabril and Hadrut. Uh, Now I think Iran and Russia are at a moment in time where they either have to make a decision to act, or they will simply fade away because they will become irrelevant, or even, as I suggested, their countries could start to disintegrate. So this is an existential threat, and for those YouTubers and all those experts who are saying that Iran and Russia are now weak, I think they need to be very careful, because Iran, for one, is used to playing the long game. Like a bit like the Chinese, I don't see them as being weak. I see them as waiting for the right moment. But that's why I'm wearing this hat rather than the normal one, this army hat, because I think now the events of the last 24 hours or so have brought us closer to conflict. Maybe not so much in Armenia, but certainly in the region than we had before. All these people talking about peace don't take into account the full situation geopolitically and economically, where countries will do what is necessary to ensure their trade routes and their interests are protected. The US does this in the South China Sea, and so do we expect Iran and Russia to do anything different? Probably not. But all of this disaster, really, for Armenia, where Armenia looks like it's weak and looks like it's certainly just fallen over and given it gets nothing back, is really not just an indictment on the government here, which has learned nothing from signing the 2020 statement and allowing point 9, the Zangezur thing, to be included, which had nothing to do with the ceasefire. It hasn't learned anything from that weakness, hasn't learned anything from the incursions and the continued threatening discussions, the bellicose acts of Azerbaijan, talking about Western Azerbaijan being all of Armenia and so on, hasn't learned anything about listening to alternative voices, but simply just listens to the United States and maybe even Europe. For what reason? You think that Europe and the US is going to come and save Armenia? I don't think so. That's certainly not been the case for Ukraine. Ukraine signed a Budapest memorandum where the US was supposed to come and protect Ukraine in the event, that it gave up its nuclear weapons and if Russia attacked. But as we can see, Trump is now talking about Ukraine giving up its territories. Armenia's future relies as a bridge between the West and the East, where we don't lose our links with Russia entirely, that we respect our neighbours in Iran, who have always kept the border open, and indeed 70% of the Indian weapons came through that border. That we respect the growing links with China. How dare Azerbaijan threaten Armenia to change its constitution, demanding that it changes a preamble, which is not really part of the constitution. But it itself has, in its 1918 to 1920 entity, the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic, made claims on the whole, or mostly part of Armenia. It's also in its current day constitution. Why isn't Azerbaijan changing its constitution if mere preambles mean the possibility of claims? But this is the problem. There's no reciprocity, no exchange of prisoners. Not that there are any prisoners in Armenia, but certainly the prisoners of war in the Baku dungeons. There's no reciprocity in terms of Armenians being able to cross Azerbaijan territory. Not that Armenians will be safe in doing so, because Azerbaijan, as a country, has a human rights index close to North Korea, and they teach their children racial hatred of Armenians. It's the only country in the world to ban a people by their ethnicity. So I don't see that it's possible for reciprocity, even if it was mentioned. This is not a peace deal. This is only a framework. It doesn't mean anything. Uh, and I think people need to ask their representatives, what does it mean? Give us the detail. How will it work? Because I can't see how you can have unhindered access by Azerbaijanis, and that's a matter of national security, by the way, when there's not Armenians checking to see what's coming, and the Azerbaijanis have explicitly stated that they don't want to see any involvement from Armenians. So, how is it going to work? How is it going to ensure the continued Iranian and Indian access? My peace plan that I presented may not have been perfect, but it did allow for a win-win situation. But as usual, Armenians not listening. Lissul Chika, they they have a habit of only listening to themselves. And while I'm on that subject, this is an indictment of Anchor and all the other Armenian diaspora organizations that pretend to do lobbying on behalf of the homeland here. I mean, what have you actually achieved? Oh, recognition of the genocide. Well, right now, Trump is not even acknowledging that. Uh, I see that he's going to repeal Section 907 so he can start arming Azerbaijan. I mean, what a huge success that you've done, because I've personally written to those organisations and suggested that we work together, but not. I don't even get a reply. I mean, that's for me the height of arrogance, when organisations think they, sitting tens of thousands of kilometres away from this place, know everything and can actually get involved in the politics here. So I'm not going to be involved in saying who's politically suitable here or not, but I will say about what international agreements and conventions and peace deals seem to be appropriate. We had members of the Civil Contract Party talking about, um, oh, it's illegal for Armenia to lease land to a foreign country, and that this is unworkable, and that we reject the US deal. And all of a sudden, everything fell into place, and it became possible. So I think the Armenian people need to ask, how is that possible? Why is it that their elected representatives told one thing, and then the exact opposite happened the next day? I think the Armenian people need to demand accountability for why it is that they don't mention about the true components of peace. That is, withdrawal of Azerbaijani soldiers, the return of the good people of Artsakh to their rightful lands as per the International Court of Justice, the ability to have reciprocity. If Azerbaijan gets something, Armenia should also get something, um, and they should also demand changes in the Azerbaijani Constitution as well too. There are so many things here that mean that an unjust, uh, so-called peace deal will lead to not peace but also further conflict. So this is a critical time, and I hope you're able to like, share, and subscribe this video so everybody else can see it and understand what's really behind this. As usual, Israel, and now we see that Azerbaijan will possibly even be offered to become part of the Abraham Accords, which is ironic because Azerbaijan, which considers itself a strong country, um, will now be subservient to Israel. Uh, I can't believe that the Azerbaijanis, who are a repressed people themselves, would want to go down that path. But this is the path which they're leading to, and also the way that they've had some conflict with Russia and also Iran in the past few weeks, this is going to lead to the possibility of further problems for them. So I don't see from this grinning clown show anything good except the possibility of further conflict, unfortunately. Hopefully, the homeland will be spared, and hopefully, there'll be a positive result from all of this, so we can protect this beautiful land. This is Len signing off from Straight Talk from the Homeland.